Ever felt a spark online, only to have it extinguished by a harsh reality? What if that perfect digital connection hides a painful truth, a prejudice you never saw coming? Tonight, we reveal how a beautiful text romance turned into tears, simply because of who she truly was. Don't let digital dreams become real-life heartbreak. Watch Maya's story now. If Maya's story resonated, hit that like button. And for more powerful stories that challenge perceptions, subscribe and join our community. Your support helps us share these vital truths. Thanks for watching. In the bustling digital landscape where connections were forged and fractured with a swipe, Maya found a glimmer of something real. His name was Alex. Their initial exchange was a casual "hey," but it quickly blossomed into a symphony of late-night texts, shared memes, and deep, vulnerable conversations. Maya, a vibrant young woman with a laugh that could light up a room and eyes that sparkled with intelligence, had always approached online dating with a healthy dose of skepticism. Yet, Alex was different. He was witty, charming, and seemed to understand her on a level few people ever had. He'd ask about her day, genuinely listen to her rants about work, and send her songs that perfectly captured her mood. They talked about everything: their dreams, their fears, their favorite obscure indie bands, and even the silly things they did when no one was watching. Maya found herself smiling at her phone more often than not, a giddy excitement bubbling in her chest. It was a digital romance, unfolding one message at a time, painting a picture of a man who was everything she could ever want. He was thoughtful, kind, and incredibly engaging. His messages were long, detailed, and full of genuine curiosity about her life. He remembered small details she'd mentioned days ago, bringing them up in later conversations, making her feel truly seen. They talked about their families, their childhoods, the places they dreamed of visiting. Alex spoke of his love for hiking and photography, and Maya shared her passion for painting and reading. They discovered a shared love for spicy food and a mutual disdain for reality TV. Each text was a brushstroke, adding another layer to the masterpiece they were unknowingly creating in their minds. Maya found herself imagining their first date, the easy laughter, the comfortable silence, the way his eyes would crinkle when he smiled. She pictured him, tall and athletic, with a kind face and an even kinder heart, just as he described himself. He had a way with words, crafting sentences that felt like poetry, making her feel cherished and understood. Their conversations often stretched late into the night, blurring the lines between friendship and something more profound. Maya would find herself drifting off to sleep with a smile on her face, the warmth of their connection lingering in her thoughts. She felt a sense of anticipation she hadn't experienced in years, a hopeful flutter that whispered, "This could be it." They hadn't discussed race, not explicitly. It hadn't seemed relevant. Their connection transcended superficialities, or so she believed. She was just Maya, and he was just Alex, two souls connecting in the vast digital ether. The thought that her skin color might even be a factor in their burgeoning relationship never crossed her mind. Why would it? They were talking about shared values, intellectual compatibility, and emotional resonance. Race felt like an irrelevant detail in the grand tapestry of their blossoming bond. As days turned into weeks, the digital dance intensified. They exchanged voice notes, and Maya loved the sound of his deep, resonant voice, which perfectly matched the thoughtful tone of his messages. He'd send her snippets of his day, a photo of a scenic trail he was hiking, a funny anecdote from work. And she'd reciprocate with pictures of her latest painting or a quirky observation from her commute. The anticipation of his next message became a delightful part of her day, a little jolt of joy that punctuated her routine. She felt a profound sense of connection, a feeling that this person, whom she had only ever known through words on a screen, truly understood her. It was exhilarating, a thrilling journey into the unknown, and she was ready for the next step. The suggestion to meet came naturally, a logical progression from their weeks of intense texting. "We should grab coffee sometime," Alex typed, and Maya's heart did a little flip. "Definitely," she replied, trying to sound casual, but inside, she was a whirlwind of excitement and nerves. The date was set for a cozy coffee shop downtown, a place with soft lighting and a reputation for excellent lattes. The morning of the date, Maya spent hours getting ready. She chose her favorite emerald green dress, a color that complemented her warm brown skin beautifully. She styled her natural curls, letting them frame her face in soft waves. Every detail was meticulously planned, from her subtle makeup to the delicate silver earrings that shimmered against her neck. She wanted to make a good impression, not just because it was a first date, but because this felt different. This felt important. As she drove to the coffee shop, a nervous flutter danced in her stomach. She rehearsed opening lines, imagined their conversation, and tried to quell the irrational fear that he wouldn't look like his pictures, though she'd meticulously checked his social media, and he seemed genuine. She arrived a few minutes early, securing a table by the window. Her phone buzzed. Almost there. See you in a sec. A wave of warmth washed over her. She took a deep breath, smoothing her dress, and then, she saw him. He walked in, scanning the room, and for a moment, their eyes met. A flicker. A pause. Not the warm, immediate recognition she had anticipated, but something else. A subtle shift in his expression, almost imperceptible, yet it registered deep within Maya. It was as if a tiny, invisible barrier had just materialized between them. He smiled, a polite, somewhat hesitant smile, and walked towards her. Maya, he asked, his voice exactly as she remembered from the voice notes, but somehow, it sounded different in person, less warm. Alex, she replied, her voice a little higher than usual, her hand extended for a handshake that felt oddly formal after weeks of intimate conversations. As they settled into their seats, the initial awkwardness was palpable. The easy flow of their text conversations seemed to have evaporated into the air, replaced by stilted small talk. Maya tried to bridge the gap, asking about his commute, his day, topics they breezed through effortlessly in messages. His answers were shorter, less detailed, lacking the enthusiastic engagement she had grown accustomed to. She noticed him glancing around the coffee shop more than at her, his eyes darting away whenever she met his gaze directly. He fiddled with his coffee cup, avoiding eye contact. Maya's internal monologue began to churn. Is he just nervous? Am I overthinking this? Maybe he's just shy in person. She tried to dismiss the growing unease, to convince herself that the magic of their texts would eventually translate into real-life chemistry. But the feeling persisted, a tiny, nagging voice in the back of her mind telling her something was off. The date itself wasn't a disaster. They talked for about an hour, discussing some of the topics they'd covered online. But the spark was gone. The laughter felt forced, the silences uncomfortable. He didn't ask her follow-up questions, didn't delve deeper into her passions, didn't make her feel seen in the way his texts had. It was a polite, surface-level interaction, devoid of the emotional intimacy that had defined their digital connection. As they parted ways, Alex offered a vague, "It was good meeting you," and a quick, almost fleeting hug. There was no mention of a second date, no lingering eye contact, no hint of the eagerness that had permeated his every message just days before. Maya walked away with a heavy heart, the emerald green dress suddenly feeling too bright, her carefully styled hair suddenly feeling like a burden. The lingering doubt had solidified into a cold, hard knot in her stomach. Something had changed the moment he saw her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she knew exactly what it was, even if she didn't want to admit it to herself. The silence that followed the coffee date was deafening. Maya waited. And waited. A day passed, then two. Her phone, once a constant source of Alex's witty banter and thoughtful questions, remained stubbornly quiet. She checked it compulsively, every vibration sending a jolt of false hope through her. Each time, it was just a notification from a news app or a message from a friend. The vibrant green of his chat bubble, once a comforting sight, now felt like a mocking reminder of what was missing. She sent him a casual text on the second day, "Hey, hope you had a good week. Thinking about that latte we had." She tried to keep it light, breezy, giving him an easy opening to respond. The three dots appeared, then vanished. Then reappeared. Her heart pounded. He was typing. Finally, the message came. "Hey. Yeah, busy week. Good to meet you too." That was it. No follow-up question, no suggestion of another meetup, no hint of the warmth that had characterized their prior exchanges. It was a polite dismissal, a digital shrug. Confusion morphed into frustration, then a creeping sense of dread. Maya replayed every moment of their coffee date in her mind. Had she said something wrong? Was her laugh too loud? Did she talk too much about her paintings? She scrutinized every detail, searching for a logical explanation for the sudden shift. She confided in her best friend, Chloe, over a tearful phone call. "He was so different, Chloe. It was like talking to a stranger. But his texts, they were so amazing. Chloe, ever the pragmatist, listened patiently. Maya, sometimes people just aren't who they seem online. It happens. Don't beat yourself up. But Maya shook her head, even though Chloe couldn't see it. No, it's more than that. There was something in his eyes when he first saw me. It was like recognition, but also surprise. And not a good surprise. Chloe paused, then asked gently, "Did you guys ever talk about race?" Maya hesitated. Not really. It just didn't come up. We were so focused on everything else. The unspoken truth hung in the air between them. Maya had always been proud of her heritage, her rich brown skin, her vibrant curls. She had never considered it a barrier, especially not with someone who seemed so open-minded and genuinely interested in her. But the memory of that fleeting expression on Alex's face, the sudden coolness in his demeanor, gnawed at her. She tried one more time. A direct approach. "Alex, I felt like we had such a great connection texting, but things felt a bit different in person. Is everything okay?" The response came hours later, a single, clipped message. "Yeah, I just don't think we have that much in common after all. Good luck with everything." The words were like a physical blow. Don't think we have that much in common. After weeks of sharing their deepest thoughts and discovering countless shared interests. It was a flimsy excuse, a transparent lie. The truth, unspoken but screamingly clear, began to settle in Maya's heart like a block of ice. He had seen her. Really seen her. And something about what he saw had made him retreat. The digital dream had shattered, leaving behind a bitter taste of rejection, and the dawning, painful realization of why. The polite, dismissive text from Alex was a flimsy veil over a much harsher truth. Maya, reeling from the abruptness of his withdrawal, couldn't let it go. Her intuition, sharpened by years of navigating subtle societal cues, screamed that there was more to it than not much in common. She felt a desperate need for closure, a need to understand the sudden, jarring shift from digital intimacy to real-life indifference. She decided to reach out to him one last time, not for a rekindling of their connection, but for an honest answer. "Alex," she typed, her fingers trembling slightly, "I respect your decision, but I'm struggling to understand. We spent weeks building a connection, sharing so much. To say we don't have much in common feels disingenuous. Can you please just be honest with me?" She pressed send, her heart pounding in her chest, bracing herself for another evasive response, or worse, complete silence. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Then, her phone buzzed. Alex's reply was short, blunt, and utterly devastating. "Look, I wasn't expecting you to be black. It's just not what I'm looking for." The words hit Maya like a physical punch. The air left her lungs. Her vision blurred, and the phone slipped from her grasp, clattering onto the wooden floor. Not what I'm looking for. 3 simple words, yet they carried the weight of centuries of prejudice, of countless unspoken biases. The vague, lingering doubt that had haunted her since the coffee shop solidified into a brutal, undeniable truth. It wasn't her personality, her laugh, her intelligence, or her dreams that had caused the rejection. It was her skin. Her beautiful, rich, brown skin. Tears welled in her eyes, hot and stinging, blurring the world around her. They weren't just tears of sadness, they were tears of shock, of betrayal, of profound hurt. How could someone who had seemed so genuinely interested in her, who had connected with her on such a deep intellectual and emotional level, dismiss her entirely based on a physical characteristic that had absolutely no bearing on who she was as a person? The idealized image of Alex, the kind, understanding man from their texts, shattered into a million pieces, revealing a stark and painful reality. The betrayal was multifaceted. It wasn't just that he had rejected her, it was that he had led her on, allowed her to invest her emotions, her hopes, her vulnerability, all while harboring a silent, racialized prejudice. He had built a connection with a version of her that existed only in his mind, a version that evidently didn't include a black woman. The sting was amplified by the realization that she had been so open, so trusting, so ready to believe in the best in people. A wave of anger surged through her, hot and righteous. Anger at Alex for his cowardice, for his prejudice, for his casual cruelty. Anger at herself for being so naive, for not seeing the red flags, for allowing herself to be so vulnerable. But beneath the anger, a deeper, more insidious feeling began to creep in: self-doubt. Was there something wrong with her? Was her race inherently a barrier to love, to connection, to acceptance? The thought was terrifying, a dark whisper threatening to erode her self-worth. She curled into a ball on her bed, the world outside her window fading into an indistinct blur as she wept, the echoes of "not what I'm looking for" reverberating in her mind, a crushing revelation that left her feeling utterly broken. The days following Alex's crushing revelation were a blur of raw emotion. Maya moved through them in a fog, alternating between fits of uncontrollable tears and simmering anger. The rejection wasn't just about a failed connection, it was a deeply personal attack on her identity, a painful reminder that in some spaces, her very existence could be deemed not what someone is looking for. She felt a profound sense of humiliation, as if she had been exposed, her vulnerability used against her. The joy she once found in her daily life seemed to dim, overshadowed by the lingering sting of his words. Her friends, especially Chloe, became her anchors. Chloe didn't try to minimize Maya's pain or offer platitudes. Instead, she listened, truly listened, allowing Maya to vent her anger, express her hurt, and articulate the complex emotions that swirled within her. "His prejudice has nothing to do with your worth, Maya," Chloe would say, her voice firm but gentle. "It's a reflection of his limitations, his ignorance. Not yours." Her family, too, rallied around her, offering comfort and reminding her of her strength and beauty. Her mother, a woman who had faced her own share of racial biases, shared stories of resilience, emphasizing the importance of self-love in a world that sometimes sought to diminish it. Slowly, painstakingly, Maya began the process of healing. She allowed herself to grieve, to feel the pain without judgment. She journaled, pouring out her thoughts and emotions onto paper, transforming the chaotic jumble in her mind into coherent narratives. She rediscovered her passion for painting, finding solace in the vibrant colors and the meditative rhythm of brushstrokes. Each stroke became an act of defiance, a reaffirmation of her own beauty and creativity. She spent more time with people who celebrated her, who saw her for who she was, not for what she looked like. She engaged in conversations about race and identity with trusted friends, finding strength in shared experiences and collective understanding. The journey wasn't linear. There were days when the hurt resurfaced, when she questioned her attractiveness, her worth, her place in the world. But each time, she consciously chose to fight back against those negative thoughts. She reminded herself that Alex's rejection was not a judgment on her inherent value, but a stark illustration of systemic prejudice. Reflection of his narrow-mindedness, his inability to see beyond superficial characteristics, rather than a flaw in her. She realized that a person who could dismiss her based on her race was not someone she wanted in her life anyway. Their inability to see her full humanity was their loss, not hers. Maya emerged from the experience not unscathed, but stronger. She learned to trust her intuition more, to recognize subtle cues, and to protect her heart from those who couldn't see her worth. She understood that true connection transcended physical appearance and that anyone who couldn't embrace her whole self, including her beautiful blackness, was not worthy of her time or affection. Her tears had watered the seeds of resilience, and from the pain, a deeper self-love began to blossom. She realized that her story, while painful, was also a testament to her strength, a narrative that could resonate with others who had faced similar rejections. For anyone watching, Maya's story is a powerful reminder: your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Your identity, your heritage, your unique beauty, these are sources of strength, not reasons for rejection. Embrace who you are, unapologetically. The right connections will celebrate every facet of you, and those who don't, simply aren't meant for your journey. Let their prejudice be their burden, and let your resilience be your crown.